Hey everybody, I wanted you all to know that I am here. I am just testing out the streaming. So just give me one moment and then I'll be right back with you all, okay? Okay, you all, good morning. I'm here with you all. I am going to see about what I can do on getting this worked out because it's not streaming. Hmm. Okay, hey everybody. It looks like just the people on my YouTube channel are here today. So what I'm going to do is invite everybody over that is on Facebook over to my YouTube channel and then we'll do that today. I don't know why Facebook is so acting so glitchy, but we can figure that out. So let me go ahead and share this link um over and then we will get started. Get share Facebook group. Okay, and let me post this in the group and then we'll get started. Let's see. My adventures in ESL. Let me pin this. Um, Okay, y'all. So thank you to everybody who's here. If you're here, if you can say hi in the comments, I would really love that. Thank you all for being patient with me this morning. Y'all, I went out last night and I went to sat at Best Buy this morning, got a a hardwired cable so I could connect to the internet. But I would love if everyone can say hey in the comments. I'm really happy that you all can be here with me today. Tomas, you said, will you be able to view the video later? Yes, I'm going to keep the video up until the end of August because I know everyone is preparing for schools at different times. So I definitely understand it. So they'll be up until the end of August. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Sandra. Gretchen, hi. You're so dedicated. Hi, welcome. Jaquetta, welcome. Candace, hello. Hi, Helen. How are you all doing? I am so happy to have you all here with me today. Thank you all for being patient. I told them yesterday, I was like, I feel like I haven't done this literally in 2 years. And yeah, I'm just really happy that you all were able to join me today. I'm going to post this one more time on my page so people will know. And if you haven't already, just a quick update. If you haven't already, if you can re-download the book, I sent a link. I included like a reflection section in there for you all because you may want to keep all of your notes in the same place. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. And I'll put in the link. I'll put in the link where in the chat rather. The link to everything if you all want to go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and download that workbook for you all. Today what we're going to be talking about are routines and procedures. And one of the reasons that I like doing this first is because it kind of helps structure your classroom. Last year, I called myself planning this out first, and then it went out the window like the second week. For a couple of reasons that I'm going to share with you all in my personal reflection. So that's why this year I put in there ways that I'm going to stay consistent in doing that. So if everyone can drop in the chat for me what year, I did this yesterday, but we have a lot of new people here today. So I would love to hear from everybody. What is this year teaching? This is your 4th year teaching. This is your 5th year teaching. This year you're a new teacher. So if you can go ahead and put that in the chat, I would love that. Let's see, join me on YouTube for today's session. And I'm putting the link. Post. Okay. So let me go to the chat. And the chat keeps, here it goes, disappearing. Oh, Vivian, you're okay. We're just getting started. I apologize. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome, everyone. Caroline is saying this is her 2nd year. Oh, Caroline, I would love to know, how was your 1st year teaching? Oh, my goodness. Welcome. It says her 13th year teaching. Oh, my God. I'm looking at your profile picture. Oh, my God, you look so young. And this is your 6th year ESL. Holly, you said this is your 26th year teaching. From Washington, Rhonda, this is your 2nd year in middle school. When do you go back to school up there in Washington? I'm curious. Do you all go back next week like many of us down south do, or you have a little bit longer? Gretchen, this is your 8th year. Gretchen, I don't know if I told you, but I'm an elementary teacher with you now. Shannon is 18th year, 2nd year, 23 years. I want to say to the people who've been doing this for like 15 years, 10 years, and you are still like doing PDs and still doing things to grow. I hope I'm like that. I think that's amazing that you all are still taking steps to grow each year. That's so beautiful in your profession. So shout out to all of you all. I am going to put in the chat right now the link to the new updated book. So if you want that, and then I didn't think to make it where you can edit it. As well. So that's the link for that as well. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and jump into today's session. So thank you all for being so patient with me. I am going to figure out Facebook. I don't know what's happening with Facebook, but I'm going to make sure to take some time today to figure it out. But YouTube is coming through, so I'm happy for that. So what we're going to go ahead and do today is we're going to talk about some strategies to prepare you for the first week of school with your routines and procedures. One thing really quick that I learned last year was I was trying to cram in like, and I know better. I so know better. Um, cram in like tons of procedures to do the first week, and it really led me to not being consistent. So that's why I'm doing this way this time. It's just doing. I'm gonna plan out all the ones that I want in my classroom, but I'm gonna start structuring out to how many and which ones I'm gonna teach each week. So I'm gonna share these strategies. Oh, so Rhonda, you're not too far behind us. Oh no, you are really behind us. Okay, our students arrive on the 7th of August. So you're about 2 weeks 2 weeks behind. So once again, thank you all so much for being here today. And I'm gonna go ahead and gonna jump in and get started. So if you have today, you need a pen, paper, and if you have your workbook printed out, or you can just take notes along with us. If you would like me to make it where I can edit the workbook, or you can just type it in, let me know, and I can see about what I can do about making it where you can edit it as we go. So what I'm going to go ahead and do and encourage you all to do, which I'm going to make sure that someone was texting and I was like, nope, I'm turning off all distractions. Just make sure that this is your focus on this today, and that when you're going into this, that this is where your mind is. It's going to be easy, especially on the computers, scrolling, being on TikTok, and just like I told you, that's my thing lately. Looking at YouTube channels. I know I'm the same way. I like looking at people just do random stuff on YouTube. So just make sure that you turn off all your distractions as we're going into this, so we can focus on doing this today and giving this as our full attention. My goal is that this is not going to be overly like overwhelming or anything to you during this process. I just want to make it very quick, explicit, and give you some strategies that you can implement in there where it's not overwhelming, because I know sometimes professional development can be overwhelming. I want to, if you weren't with me yesterday, I want to go over quickly. This is going to be our weekly journey. Today we have yesterday we had the kickoff. Today, this is where we're talking about like routines and procedures in your classroom. And tomorrow, we're going to be going through high expectations. Yes, you can plan for those, right? So just making sure you give you some strategies, some tips to go into the year, making sure you have those high expectations for your students. The next thing is building relationships. And this is one, surprisingly, I always have to come back to. And sometimes I really struggle with this, because I am one of those type of people that I'm super focused on getting my routines in place and my classroom procedures in place. I'm focused on my lesson plans, what I'm going to teach. And oftentimes I really neglect this at the beginning of the year. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll print some stuff out. Um, but I'm going into this school year as just my own personal reflection of being very intentional on how I do this. And I want to encourage you all as well. The next thing is planning the first week. So we're going to go through really quickly and how you can do the first week of school. And by quickly, Vivian just asked a really good question. She says, are these 1 hour sessions? My goal is for them to be about 30 minutes, and then you take 15 minutes to go ahead and prep and plan. So I want to keep them under an hour. That way you can have time if you want to go up to your classroom and plan or do whatever you want to do, enjoy the rest of your summer. I don't want them to be too long. But the planning the first week, I said quickly, but planning the first week will probably be one of the longer sections, because we're going to be doing some plugging in, going through some icebreakers, really breaking it down. So that one might be a little longer. But all of the other ones, my goal is to keep them under 30 minutes, because I know this is your summer and I want to respect your time. And I know you all have things that you want to do. And also you may want to dive into getting everything done. I know for me personally, I go back next week, like I told you all. So this week I'm taking 2 hours a day to plan. So that's just my own personal thing, just because I have to go back to school for in-service next week. And on Friday, we're going to be talking about our first week checklist. So this is just things that you want to make sure you have in place going into the first week. And I kind of talked about this yesterday a little bit. I know everybody's first week looks different. Like for me, this last school year was one of the first times where I didn't really have students on the first week when they were actually in school. I guess they do things differently in some elementary schools, and so I didn't really see my students into about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks into the school year because I had to screen. I know some of you all mentioned you see your students on the first day, and that's how it was for me in middle school. We saw them the first day they were there. So your first week may look different, but we're still going to go over a checklist of just things you need to be prepared for. Wow, Debbie said she was in high school, now elementary. Oh my goodness, Debbie, that is a jump. How are you doing? From high school to elementary. That is a big jump. Okay, so what we're going to do is talk about our journey today. I want to welcome you all. I'm going to explain the why behind what we're doing because that's important. Then I'm going to talk about consistency. Like I mentioned, this is what I struggled with last year, and I know a lot of us struggled with this as well. I'm going to talk about modeling the behavior, some challenges, because a lot of times we go into planning, but we don't really plan for the challenges. So I want you to be aware that there might be some challenges, and here's some tips and strategies to overcome those challenges. And if you see a challenge and you have a strategy that you want to share, put them in the comments for other teachers that are watching this later. Put that in the comments for other people. And the last thing are action steps. So things that you're going to do the next 15 minutes when we get off the call to help prepare. Okay. If this is your first time meeting with me, I just want to go over some of my qualifications. I've been an ESL teacher. This is going into my 9th year. I've been a department chair. I'm at a smaller school now, so I'm the only ESL teacher there at the school. I also coach new and returning teachers. I write curriculum. I'm actually finishing up writing a curriculum for middle school, for middle grades rather, 4 through 12. You can use it for. And so I'll be sharing that later in the week. But those are some of the things that I love doing. And if you're also here and you're like, what is this? What is Prep and Plan? Well, the goal of these sessions are just short sessions. They're going to provide you with some easy to implement strategies so you can prepare for the first week with your school, with your language learner. So that's the goal. And the reason why I did this was because last summer I didn't really plan at all. I was like, I'm going to be one of those people that just show up on in-service and not do anything. And I realized that's okay for some people. It was not okay for me. I was a hot mess the first week of school, and I promised myself I will never do that again. That was not for me. So, but at the same time, I get it. Like, I wanted to enjoy my summer, and I wanted to strike a balance on what I can do. So, really quickly, what I did was I was lucky enough to be in the same room. And then where I'm at, they have me like outside in some modulars. They call them portables here, but some people call them modulars. And they're actually really nice. And they have me outside, and I have carpet, so they don't have to like wax the floors. They said this is where you're going to be for next school year. So what I did was at the end of the school year, to kind of help prep me for the beginning, I purged, I organized all my books. I organized my room how I wanted for the school year. Like I got my centers set up for how I wanted. And I got some bulletin boards set up. So at the end of the year, I guess when everybody was kind of packing up, I was cleaning and setting up for the school year. So that helped provide me some time to not go in like ahead of time to do anything. And then I was like, okay, what can I realistically do? Well, I want to personally still enjoy my summer, but not plan all summer. So I was like, the week before, which is this week, I'm just going to take 2 hours a day, and I'm going to just plan the first 2 to 3 weeks of school. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I wanted to invite you all on as well. Vivian asks, how many students do you have in your caseload and which grade levels? So Vivian, are you all sitting down? So y'all, I have 10 students. 10 students. That's it this year. And I have every grade, I think, as of now, Vivian, I have every grade except second grade, I think. I don't have any second graders. So this is really, really extreme. I went from a situation of having like 150 students on a caseload to 10 students. So that's something I did not prepare for. And that has its own set of challenges, but that's currently my caseload. I would love to know you all's caseload in the chat. If anybody else has 10 students like me or don't have as many students, I would love to know. I actually miss not having as many because you can do a lot of group work. Like there's some classes where I only have one student in the class. So that was like a shock. So I wanted to share with you all a couple important points before we dive into the work. The first thing that I want you to remember, and this is like the why, that the classroom procedures are the motor of your classroom. Like it's what keeps your classroom going. And I say this is because I slipped up last year because I didn't think just because I have one student, I don't need to do any of this. And that's where I made a big mistake. And I will not make that same mistake. And if you're listening, you're a first year teacher, second year teacher, and you're thinking, I only have one student. And I thought I slipped up. I said that. I was like, even if you used to like, even if you have one student, I slipped up and I did not do some classroom procedures with that one student in my class. And oh, I felt it a lot throughout the year. So that going into this year, I'm definitely not going to make that same mistake again. And the next thing is routines and procedures. They need to be explicitly taught and modeled. I did not do that last year. Didn't do it. I don't know what I was thinking. Tell you all this all the time. I was thinking I had 10 students. Don't need to do it. I was wrong. So they need to be explicitly taught and they need to be modeled for the students. And the students need to practice them. I practice the procedures as well. So I'm going to make sure to share with you some strategies on how you can get them to practice as well. Keep it simple. Wow. I've done this in my, when I was teaching middle school, I would just make them overly complicated. So this year going forward, I just try to keep it as simple as possible. If I start to go through them and I feel like, oh, this is way too much, I go back, I rethink it and revise it. So keep it simple. And the next thing is keep practicing it until it becomes second nature for the students. Now I did do this for my kindergartner students because I knew they needed it, but I would get, some days I wouldn't be consistent. And it would be like, oh, Miss Williams, you're supposed to do it this way. So, and I was like, okay, you all are right. You are absolutely right. I'm not on point. So that's why I say keep practicing until it becomes second nature. So shout out to some of the people. So I'm going to share some of you all who are listening on the repeat some of the people's caseload. Caroline says she has 170. Woo, but can only take the bottom 25% test scores. Caroline, that is really interesting. I've never heard of. I know we're doing this, but in later time, can you explain why you could only take the bottom 25%? Now I'm going to star this because that's really interesting. I would love to know why. I just have so many questions about that. I'm probably going to follow up on that on Friday. Okay, Kelly says, oh my gosh, I only have 25 to 30. That's a good number. Oh, pre-K through 12. Yeah, Kelly, are you the only teacher there? That's a big grade range right there. Rhonda, 137. Vivian says last year 55. That's a good number too. In one school. Oh, you one school. Okay. And 35 students in K through 2 in a second school. So you all are traveling as well. Wow. Oh my goodness. It's so different. And I have just 10 compared to you all. I think that's what I'm kind of nervous about too, because I only have 10. I know the district is getting more students. I am just mentally preparing myself for the fact that I may have to do like Vivian and so many of you all and maybe travel. It's probably an experience that I need to have. And so, wow, thank you all for sharing that with us. Kelly says you're the only teacher. Kelly, that is really, really heavy. I'm going to make a note, Kelly, because I think it's a lot of you all to do that and share some strategies. I have never experienced that, but I know quite a few people. And my student teacher, student teacher, she's doing that this year. So I'm going to talk to somebody and see what we can have somebody come on and share some strategies on how to do that. Sandra says she has 5 schools and do not know her caseload yet. Yeah. Last year, Sandra, I hope you can find out soon. She had 90 students in grade 7, 2 beginners, my intermediate across the general. Oh, wow. So you all have a very wide caseload. Oh, Gretchen, I'm starting a new school, so I'm planning in a vacuum, probably around 30. Yeah, it is so interesting to see where everybody's from and what their caseloads are like. So this is really good. I asked that because your routines and your procedures are going to vary widely among the grades. Now, this is really important then that you all focus on. Let me make sure I'm not in the way. That your routines and your procedures are simple. And I hear some of you all saying that you have K through 12. And I want to say this, like, even in kindergarten, they're going to need to know, okay, how to get a pencil, how to sharpen a pencil, all of that. And in 12th grade, the same thing. They're going to need to know how to get a pencil, how to sharpen a pencil. What I would suggest, if you are in a situation where you are teaching a wide range of grades, I'm not teaching that wide range. Like I said, I'm just K through 5. Keep the same procedure for all the grades that you're teaching. So that means that you really are going to have to keep it as simple as possible. I would not suggest you do a certain set of routines for kindergarten and a certain set of routines for high school, because it's going to be really, really hard to keep up. So try to make the routines that you are doing and your procedures really consistent across the grade levels, because that's going to help you in staying consistent with everything. So that's really good to know that you all have a wide range of them. Now, I would like to know if I miss anything, please share this in the comments, but I want to give you all some examples of some routines and procedures. One, entering the classroom. This is a big one. Now, for me, I'm going to talk about this a little later, but entering the classroom is that I'm actually having to go pick up the students and bring them to the classroom. Whereas before in middle and high school, they're probably coming to you. So I'm rethinking this. How am I going to have the students enter the classroom in this process? I did not think through this. I'm better equipped now. And what I mean by that is that I noticed my own personal thing last year is that I would go pick up the students. They would run ahead. I'm in a situation where I don't know if I should do a line or what. So any elementary teachers out there, please, if you pick up your students and take them to your classroom, I would love to know your your procedures, because this is what I'm personally stuck on right now. I can't think through quite what to do and what to do with this situation. But in middle school, I would just they will come to the class. I would have them stand out by the door. When the bell rings, they will go in, pick up their papers, get started on the do now. Elementary is a little different, so I'm thinking through that. Picking up materials. How are you going to have the students get their work? Pick up materials. Going to the bathroom. Whew, this is one I don't have to deal with as much. But in middle school, this was huge. So think about how are you going to have your procedures around them going to the bathroom each day. Asking questions. Like I said, I don't have as many students, but I noticed that a lot of times students will like blurt out. So I'm going to definitely make sure I'm more intentional about this one. Turning in papers, really big in middle and high school. Absent students. How are you going to handle students who are absent in your classroom each day? Late assignments. Definitely big for middle and high school. This is really actually big for elementary school, and I'm going to create a procedure around this, because I noticed in the upper grades of middle school, not necessarily my assignments, but their gen ed assignments, they struggled with turning those into their teachers. So I'm going to create a routine and a procedure around them, around when it happens, what needs to happen, what they need to be doing. So I'm going to plan for that, because I noticed a lot of times teachers would send stuff to my class and say, it's late. Can they do it in your class? And I'm going to start saying, no, they can't. They can't do it in my class. But this is the procedure that we're going to have for it if it is late. So once again, I would love to know, if you're elementary, middle school, when teachers do that, what strategies do you all have around that as well? Attention signal. So I'm definitely doing this. Like, if you want everybody to come together or be quiet. I did this last year. It worked like a charm. I don't know if I told you all, I have one of those doorbells. They're like $10. You can get and put it on a keychain, and I plug it in the wall, and I'm like, okay, we practice this, and they do a really good job with that attention signal. Returning assignments. Once again, not necessarily for my class, but in their gen ed classes, they struggle with returning their assignments. So I'm going to create procedures and routines around them doing that. End of class dismissal. If you have that, a lot of times in middle and high school, they want to get up and run out. In my case, I struggle with getting them back into class on time because we're caught up in what we're doing. The next one is classroom jobs. They really wanted classroom jobs. So that was really great. So this year I'm going to assign them to them. So classroom jobs are some. And one more that I have is, sharpening pencils. I cannot stress enough. They get on my nerves with this. I still struggle with it. I slipped up last year. Don't know. It's my first year teaching, full year teaching elementary. I once again won't make that same mistake. So what I'm going to do is they have a pencil box. I'm going to go ahead with my teacher money. I'm going to buy a ridiculous amount of pencils, and I'm going to put maybe 3 to 4 in their pencil box, sharpen at the end of the week. They can just switch out for a new set of sharpened pencils. I don't want to hear the pencil sharpener. I don't even want them to see it. I don't want to deal with it. So yeah. So as Sandra said, it takes us a lot of time and losing teaching time. Yes, walking them, going to pick them up, y'all, that takes like 5 minutes. Then you have to end class and then go take them back. So that's a good 12 minutes gone. Like, so I'm really trying to figure that out. That one I'm stuck on a lot. And teachers sending work to do in your class. So that's going to be interesting this school year. So what I'm going to do is this is the second part, is where we reflect, and this was some of the homework, but if you are just joining us and you're just catching it, one of the things I want you to reflect on is your last school year. So this is where you all are doing the work. And my question for you is, how effective were your classroom routines and procedures? Like, how effective were they? So I would love for you all to reflect on that. I'm going to just give you 45 seconds of think time. I am actually setting up my timer now. Let's see. Here we go. Timer. And 30 seconds. And I am going to be quiet while you all think about this. And then I'm going to give you all you can write it down on your notebook. I really want you all to write it down somewhere. So I'm going to really set the timer for 2 minutes and it gives you time to write it down and determine how effective were your classroom routines and procedure. And try to be as specific as possible. Were they effective? Why do you think they were not effective? You can share in the comments if you want. Just write it somewhere, because you can always screenshot it and keep it. So I'm going to set the timer. I'm going to hush and set the timer for 30 seconds. Oh, Vivian, thank you. Okay, shout out to Vivian really quickly. She said she picked up her students and she practiced how to walk down the hallway. Yeah, okay. And I'm so happy I asked, right? And how to enter and seat and sit in my classroom. They have a cubby with materials. I do have that, and they pick them up before. Yes. See, thank you. I'm glad I asked. That's so simple, and it makes so much sense. And I just don't know why I didn't think of that. So, so thank you, Vivian. That makes a lot of sense. So you practice how to walk down the hallway, how to enter in the classroom. That makes so much sense. And I am going to write that down. And that is as simple as possible. I love that. So if you all can, I'm going to give you all another minute and a half where you can or 2 minutes, just if you need more time, just write down how effective were your procedures. I've kind of shared mine a little bit with you all. But write down, you can write in the chat, share in the chat, write on a notepad, however you want to do it. But I'll go ahead and set the timer for that. Kelly, I'm laughing with you, girl. I am with you. Uh, okay, we have about 10 more seconds, and some of you all are already dropping them in the comments, which is great. Um, okay. So thank you all for sharing. I want to say I'm definitely with Kelly. I'm so glad that I'm doing this with you all because it just makes me realize that you can just keep it as simple as possible. You don't have to overcomplicate it. I know. I'm thinking. Someone just mentioned. Let me go back. Somebody mentioned silly walks, and somebody else suggested that too, as well. Who just said that? Gretchen, I need a reboot. Yep, me too. Um, I hope I said this. Gyardely says, I teach elementary, but we have a sharpened box and a broken box. So they just grab a new one if they need it and drop their old one. It requires me to sharpen the broken ones at the end of the day. I like that. I have asked myself, will I be? Is it hard to do? Because I'm wondering if I'll be consistent enough. But I'm wondering if I can make that a job of somebody else's to just sharpen the pencils. I know I don't think I will be consistent enough to do it, but I do know teachers who do that, and they're very consistent about it. But I like that because I have to sharpen the pencils at some point. So I'm wondering if that will work if I can give somebody else the job. I'm just reflecting out loud. I would love to know you all strategies. Caroline said picking up is the most time consuming. It is, and then you have to, oh Lord, like if there's still the teachers running behind and they still are going over into class. Oh my goodness. Kelly says she said her procedures for her littles when one junior high school and high school. Yes, I don't know why I thought junior high school and high school was a little easier for procedures for some. Can you believe it? For some reason, I don't know. I think that it's because there's so many grade levels that I have this year that I'm overthinking it. So Vivian says it takes a whole month, and once the older students 3 to 6 know my expectation, ask the students to go back to their classes by themselves and sign in one by one as a behavior monitor. I love that, Vivian. That is a really great strategy. We need to invite you on and you just share all your strategies with us. That is a really good one too. Candy says she's walked hers down, but she greet each individual at the door. They enter and get their book bin and start on the post. Candace, can you give us more information about this? So you walk them down and then you just stand at the door as they're coming in, and then you just say hi and just kind of greet them officially when they're coming in. I love that. You all have some really good strategies. The pencils, the walking down. She says she liked her procedures when the students entered. Jacquinetta said that I like my procedure when the students enter the classroom. They gather their workbooks and folders from the mailbox, sit down, and begin their bell work. I love that, and that's so simple. That's the same one I have too. It's like come in, get your things, start on the do now, and you stand by the door to remind them daily. So, Jacquinetta, do you have the students? They come to you. That's interesting. Gretchen says I'm going to focus on expected behaviors which make others uncomfortable, and unexpected would make others unexpected, which makes others uncomfortable, which makes others comfortable. Gretchen, can you tell us more about that? I'm going to focus on expected behavior, which makes others comfortable, and unexpected, which makes others uncomfortable. Can you tell us, when you get a chance, a little bit more about what you mean by that? I think I know, but if you can clarify for us in the comments, that would be really helpful. It sounds like a really good strategy. Me personally, I felt like I did the work the first week of planning like my procedures, but I wasn't consistent with them. I didn't think I think that I overthought everything and it kind of affected everything. So this year, and so overall, I don't think my procedures for my elementary students in regards to the ones that I didn't feel that were as effective were them me picking them up from class and coming into class. Once they got into class, they knew to get their box, start on the do now. They knew that, but the setting the tone from me picking them up to the door was very, very hectic, especially the younger ones. They wanted to walk on the little curb thing on the sidewalk and just run and just take their time walking really slow. And I'm like, yo, we have to go. So that part was just dragging along. So that's something that I'm going to work on this year. I mentioned my pencils wasn't effective, and the next one that wasn't really effective that I wanted to do was the classroom library. I got a really big grant to have a classroom library. The students really wanted to go, and I didn't have a procedure in place for them to go. So those are the three that I know that I'm working on next year. Um, yeah, you all saying this sharpen bucket. I'm gonna have to try that, but I don't think I'm gonna sharpen them. I know I wouldn't act right, y'all. I know I wouldn't act right. Candy says she has a greeting choice chart. Oh, I love that. And then they pick which one: a high five, a smile, a pinky shake, a hug, and a fist bump. You all are just dropping like golden nuggets in this chat. If you all are watching this on a replay, please look through the chat. They are giving some really good strategies in the chat. Rhonda says she felt so pushed to get through the curriculum. Ooh. Rhonda, what curriculum are you all doing? That some of my classroom procedures went by the wayside. I know, Rhonda, we had to do, in middle school, we had to do EL, which is expeditionary curriculum. It's one of those curriculums where you have it day by day, and the district was really intense about you have to do this day by day, and it was so stressful. And so I felt this just same thing, this pressure, and then I did not do any routines and procedures, and the whole year was a hot mess. So I get it. So I so get it. Yeah. So if you all are like, please go to the chat, look at the chat, and read some of those strategies. The next one, and this is an easy one. I want you all to put in the chat, what was your favorite classroom routine and procedure, and why? What was your favorite classroom procedure and why? My favorite classroom procedure last year was the do now. So that was really fun because one of the reasons why it was my favorite, because I really saw growth in my students writing with the do now. It was amazing to see how they grew from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. I did the 5 sensory writing prompts, and I'm thinking I may share that with you all as well. But I did the 5 sensory writing prompts. I did it for all grades, second through 5th grade, and it was really good to see. I was able to, and it really helped when it's time for them to take their state assessments, their WIDA assessment. I could definitely tell a difference. So me having that do now and reinforcing some of those skills was so helpful. And I cannot stress enough, like, if get you a do now. I know some people are like, how do I fit grammar in? How do I do that? Having a do now each day is a great way to do it. It does not have to be long. Mine was like 8 to 10 minutes, even though sometimes they would try to drag it out. But really do that. That was my favorite one, just because I was able to see the growth throughout the year. So Vivian said she had a basket with pencils and another one with erasers that I share. Oh, okay, I gotta scroll down. um, oh, oh my goodness. I bet you see so much growth. Kelly says where a pre-K and kinder should read a book with them on the floor. Draconetta says setting timers for work time and transitions. I need to do that. I struggle with that too because I'm like, we can do extra time. But I do notice when I do set timers, because I have a timer for the do now because I don't want to spend forever on it. They are very serious about, okay, looking like it kind of holds them accountable. So I love that. It says, yes, Sandra, I will make sure to share that with you all on Friday about do nows and that writing sensory prompt. I even have some free ones, so I'll make sure to share the free writing sensory prompts with you all. I love them. They're just so easy to use, and I probably will go to work, and I probably be live from my classroom maybe like Thursday or Friday. So I'll be sure to share with you all some of their work that they did. Vivian says she has Lexia English, Reading A to Z, and this year Brain Pop, as well as no formal curriculum or pacing guide. Yeah, we have Lexia English. We don't have a formal, and that's it's just so frustrating. And that's one thing that I'm working on. We don't have a formal curriculum for ESL either. I'm getting off on a small tangent. I'm gonna come back. They want us to use something called. You all probably know what I'm talking about. I wish I had the book. Finish Line, and then it's. And I don't know if y'all been to the conferences and seen that, and it's something called Teams. Yeah, that is not it is not a curriculum. I don't know what that is. It's but they want us to they have to have something. So that's what they have, and that's why I was like I just wrote out my own for the year with a pacing guide and everything because it was just so frustrating. Um yeah, I like that Debbie is trying to keep the lessons in no more than 10 minutes and breaking it up. Yeah, that's what it's called. Finish line, online practice for access. They're using that as the curriculum. And I'm like, that's not a curriculum. It's like test prep. And teams or something like that they're using. Javinia says she loves a routine with older students where I tell them where we're going to work on for our class and they get in class and work independently. I just want to say independent work is so wonderful and it's such a great opportunity to be able to like talk to the students, give them feedback on what they can do better. I love that. And I love how Vivian you're just setting those expectations with them as well. You all are doing really great. Just Gretchen said that she uses a happy face with expected and brainstorm what we want for our class. Oh my goodness. And unexpected with a sad face and more brainstorming. Okay. This is one thing I like about that, Gretchen, is because you're getting their input. Like you're talking to them like, okay, these are expected behaviors for this activity. That is a really good strategy, you all. And I'm sure it creates a lot of buy-in from them because you can say, well, we all brainstormed. This is our expected behavior for this activity. You all told me what the expected behaviors. I didn't set them. So why are you all not following those expected behaviors? I love that. Instead of maybe like traditional classroom rules. Yeah. Um, yeah, I love that. So my next question is, and if you want this to write this in your workbook, you can put this in the chat if you don't have the workbook, but make sure you go back. This is my question, and in the workbook, this is question number 3. What are 5 classroom routines and procedures you're going to work on the first week of school? What are the 5 that you're going to work on? You have the list, right? And I'll tell you, go through how you can introduce them or how I introduce them normally to my students. But what are your 5 classroom routines and procedures that you are going to introduce to your students just the first week? Don't do a mistake and do like I did, thinking I'm going to introduce 20 procedures in the first week. All right, just pick 5. You can do one a day, practice the one from the previous day. But what are those 5? What are those 5? So put those in the chat. What are those 5? Write them in your workbook. I'll give you a couple of moments to do that. I know I'm thinking about mine and I can't wait to share those, but I'm setting a timer and I'm going to let you all write those out. And I'm writing mine out on my notepad so I can go back. Entering class. You'll have about 40 seconds. It's great. Some of y'all starting to put them in the chat, which is great. Okay, so here are my five that I'm going to do, which is pencils, walking to class, entering class, the do now, and packing up. Those are my top five priority because these are ones that I struggled with the most last year. But let me see some of you all if you all want to put them in the chat. Vivian says there's entering the classroom, dismissal, asking questions, picking up materials, which is great, and going to the bathroom, just her top five priority. Caroline says entering and exiting the classroom. I love how Caroline put that into one. I should have did that. Picking up and putting away materials and asking questions. Oh, and need to do. Oh, okay, you got to split it up. And need to do a bathroom. Yeah, bathroom is just big, and I'm part of me is like I'm like you. I'm gonna write that down too because bathroom is huge. It doesn't matter what grade. They always want to go to the bathroom. So yeah, I'm gonna do that as a 612 Caroline is bathroom. And I'm just thinking about like before we go to class, ask them, hey, do you want to go to the bathroom? Side note, I noticed like in elementary, a lot of them, some of the younger grades are afraid to go to the bathroom by themselves. So definitely, because I'm like, yeah, just go. And then they're like, I don't want to go down there by myself. And I'm like, oh, so I have to stop class, walk with them down there. So I'm definitely going to add sneak bathroom in there as well. And just thinking about just stopping, maybe even stop on their hall. Like if you need to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom before we go, and let's just go. So that's really great. Now I'm going to show you if you can screenshot the next screen if you want. Because this will really help you all as well in modeling and practicing your procedures. For me, like I said, I just got caught up with a whole bunch of other stuff and then I do that. But this is something that I'm going to be doing as well. The first one is explain the why behind it. Why do we need to do this? And for me, especially when it comes to walking to class, that's something that I'm going to have to do before we leave their classroom. Right? I'm not going to have them walk to the class. I'm going to say, okay, this is what the procedure is, you all. This is going to be on the spot. And this is why we need to do this, especially since I'm outside. And side note, you all, I'm even thinking about something like this where they're coming to me and I'm coming back, even explaining it to their teachers. Because, I think it would be important to do that to their teachers, especially picking them up and dropping them off. Model it. So this should be fun. So I'm going to model it. So once I'm just going to keep it like, this is how you all need to walk to class. This is how you need to get your pencil. This is how you need to get your do now. Actually model, let them see you do it. And then do a brain dump. So basically they just tell me, what did you notice? What do you think we could do better? What would you change? How are you going to, do different tomorrow? So basically they're just reflecting on the activity. And I will let them practice. Once again, this is something that I know definitely for entering the classroom, I'm going to have to do on the spot in the hallway, let them practice. The student have one student model in practice and then they practice as a class. And then I give them some feedback. So this is going to be really fun as I'm thinking about my number one that I'm doing when I first see them, which is walking to class. Like, how does it look? Now, for me, I'm wondering how that looks if I have one student versus if I have 5 students. And so that's something that I'm thinking through. Like, how does that look? And I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just thinking aloud, for one student, we can just stand next to me. If it's 5 students, they can stand in a line next to me as well. So just thinking through that, and I'm just reminding myself to keep it simple. Keep it simple. The next thing that I mentioned that I struggle with is staying consistent. So this was really hard for me last school year, and going into this school year, I know that I'm going to have to do better about doing that. And here's some strategies on how I plan on doing that. And I would love to know in the comments how you plan on doing it. But here are some strategies on how I plan on staying consistent and how I would suggest you plan on consistent. Is plan them out in 2 week increments. And this is something I'm going to do in general this year for the most part, is planning out my routines and procedures and even my lessons in 2 week increments. I noticed that sometimes I would plan too far ahead and just everything would happen: fire drills, tornado drills, they got field trips, and then it just throws everything off. So I'm going to start planning in just 2 week increments, not do too much too ahead of the time. So that's the same thing with my procedures. Kind of see what we need working on and need more work on, and then kind of plan it out that way. The next thing is reflect and evaluate how you and the students are doing daily. So this is really important, is that because that way you can know if you need to make changes, if you need to keep doing what you need to do, or because when I wasn't doing this, I would just let it fall by the wayside. I'm like, just whatever. I'm just not gonna worry with it. So, but this is something that I'm gonna be very intentional about every day. At the end of the day, like, how did they do with their procedures and routines? Is there anything I need to change? Do I need to just keep going for a couple of more days or a couple more weeks to see how they do? So that's something really important. Celebrate your small wins. And sometimes I know we get caught up in just, oh, if it's not perfect. But this is something I want to encourage you all to do. Just any small wins that you have, celebrate them. Celebrate them. Even if it's just one class, one student walking down the hall, celebrate those wins. The next thing is have your students hold you accountable. That this helps me a lot because sometimes I'll kind of like get off and start doing other things, and then they start holding me more accountable. And find ways to hold them accountable. So really be thinking about how you want to do that. And then the last one is just set some goals around how you plan to introduce and implement your routines and procedures. I shared with you one of my goals. The first one is I'm planning them out in 2 week increments. And I'm planning them out, sharing 1 to 2 procedures a day for my students. So set goals around how you plan on doing this. So that's really good. It says, and before I go, and then I'm going to get to some of you all's questions as well. So I would love to know in the chat, what are some challenges that you foresee? And these are some that I brainstorm, but I would love to know some of yours as well. One of the challenges is language barrier. That's probably a huge one that some of us might encounter. And one of the ways that I get around that is modeling it. That's why it's so important, so they can see you do it. So you can put up a whole chart and, with all these words or whatever, but have them like you model it. You can even, and this is one I did one year, record yourself doing it in the class doing it. And then when you get new students in, you can actually have them watch the recording. And then if you have new students come in later, they're going to pick up really quick. If they see everybody doing it a certain way, they're going to fall right in line and doing it as well. So that's how I got around the language barrier, is modeling it. Of course, photos, pictures, videos of how to do it. So that was one challenge that I had because, unfortunately, you may have students, you may not speak, Arabic or Spanish or however many other languages that your students speak. And you still want to make sure that you're getting across your point in the sense of how do you, what are the expectations around these procedures? So that is a great way to do that, is modeling and having the students practice. I know some teachers even have buddies. So if a student that speaks Arabic, partner up with another student that speaks Arabic, and the student models and practices with the other student, the new student, how to do that. Because I know a lot of times as ESL teachers, we have students coming in throughout the whole year. So that's one challenge. The next one is time constraints. We kind of touched on this earlier, is that a lot of times your district, depending on your district, may want you to jump in and just start teaching. I get around this by, if anybody or any administrator or anything, I haven't had this problem, but I know some people do. I always say, hey, for my classroom to run like it needs to run, I need to take the time to do this. So advocate for yourself. Say, I need to have time to show them the routines and the procedures so I can teach. You're not going to be able to teach anything if you're, like I said, putting out little fires all throughout the day. So make sure you're advocating for yourself. Um, you may think it's not working as planned. This happens a lot. You may say, this is not working. I'm just not going to do it. I'm guilty. I get it. One of the things that to get around this is going back to reflecting. You may have to tweak and change some things, and that's okay. Just make sure you remember to be flexible during this process. That's something that I have to remind myself all the time is that okay, what about it's not working? What needs to be changed? And be transparent with the students. Just say, hey y'all, this is not working quite as I thought it would. These are some changes that we're going to make to it. The next challenge is being inconsistent. And I gave you all some strategies on the previous slide on how to be consistent, but that's a big challenge is that you're doing one day, then you turn around the next day you're not, you're doing something completely different. So use those strategies on the previous slide to stay consistent. So you all are sharing some, and I'm going to share them out. And, so we can like quickly like brainstorm some, here. So, Vivian says, could you add this in your file so we can read the little words? Of course, yes. I will turn this into a PDF for you all today and add them. Vivian said, interruptions on my schedule that might give me the consistency doing the first with my students. Yes, that it is. Yes, it is so hard the first week because there's just so much random things going on and it is staying hard to be consistent. I would love to know if anybody has any strategies for Vivian. I think I have a couple that might work, Vivian, and I'll share in a minute. But ways that you can still be consistent during that first week with your students. Kimberly says the teacher shortage was a challenge last year. We used a push-in model at our school. I was the only teacher in the classroom that should have had a reading co-teacher. Yes, I don't know. I've moved over to a district where they really don't have a teacher shortage problem, but in my previous one, it was a huge teacher shortage problem. And that is a challenge because a lot of times the students have long-term subs in the classroom and then may or may not. Sometimes subs, they can teach in that subject area, but sometimes they don't. And so that can be a different challenge. And also, because there's no teacher in there, you can't do the routines and the procedures that you need. If you're one of the things that helps me when I have interruptions, like with my schedules, that helps. It's so hard to stay consistent. I want to say, I cannot stress enough, you all. And if you're a new teacher and you're looking at this, you're like, what? Yes, you're going to have like a lot of interruptions, your schedule throughout the year. It's more so bad for me, like at the end of the year, I feel like it's really rough. But one thing that helps me, Vivian, is I try not to over plan that first week with a lot of routines and procedures. Like I may just do one a day. That's what I'm saying. I'm just going to do one a day. That's it. And then as the weeks go on, as things start to kind of settle a little more, I start to kind of up how many I have during the week, especially the more complex ones. So that first week where I know that I'm having a lot of interruptions, they may be class may be cut short. I would just keep it as simple as possible. Just do one that's just the priority. And then, like I said, as time goes on, just increase those because you will have a lot of them. She says, as one of the ambient noise, my room is in the cafeteria during lunch times, which is loud, and band practice after the lunches. Also on my way to get my groups, I get pulled to sub. Caroline, I really don't like getting into I see this stuff and it just really upsets me. Why? This is so off topic, but why are they pulling you to sub? Why are they doing that? And why are we all in cafeterias doing band practice? That's not right. And I want to write a letter on your behalf to tell them to move you. Caroline, can you ask them to move you to a different room? Are you in a situation where you can't They don't have any room in the building. And I don't like them pulling you to sub classes. I don't know what state you're in, Caroline. I would love to know. You can if you don't you can message me if you don't feel comfortable saying here. And this is a side note. If you're new or whatever, please, 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 you learn like what schools can and cannot do. Um, Caroline, I hope you're getting your planning period. I know here in Tennessee, it's mandated by law, like you have to have a planning period. Like please, please, please make sure that you all are learning like going into okay, you're in no other rooms. I'm in Illinois. Could you oh goodness, I'm gonna write this down. And I'm writing down this Caroline some strategies. I know some teachers who share rooms. Let me put this down. And I'm gonna be for Friday, I'm gonna brainstorm some strategies for you. Brainstorm strategies. I really feel like you should have a place where you can teach and the students can hear you. Um, Rooms and how to. Yeah, because I know, and I'm going to ask somebody. I knew somebody, she said she actually taught like in the cafeteria. There was a room next door to the cafeteria and she taught there. Um, yeah, baby, I'm the same way. Yeah, we like I'm surprised because we can't have lunch duty as teachers. They don't we are not allowed to as teachers. They don't pull us to sub watch other classes. We don't do that. So I'm really curious, you all. I'm gonna put that as another note. Research um teacher union laws. Yeah. Um, and I know people do not want to rock the boat. I know. I get it. You don't want to make people, you don't want to make your admin mad. You don't want to be, I get it. But, but it's okay. You don't have to put everything in email. You can just go and just say, hey, just go to them personally. I know emails can kind of be sometimes a little touchy, but if you feel comfortable enough, just go to them and talk to them. Okay, I'm an EL or and not a teacher of record. Okay. Yeah, I'm with Vivian. Definitely go around your school, see if you can find someone, a place that's a better fit. I know sometimes the library has like small rooms. If you can see that, as well. I want you all to. I'm going to put that on tomorrow's homework. Is to definitely look into like any questions that you have. I know it's so different by state. That's why I don't try not to touch on it too much. But I would suggest that you go to your state website and definitely read up on the laws on what you're supposed to be doing and what you're not supposed to be doing. Because unfortunately, people, maybe the admin doesn't. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they don't know. But I want you to go into this year and knowing what you can and can't, what they can and can't do. So I'm going to dive into today's homework and then I'll go into our questions and where we can talk a little bit more about that. But today's homework is on the second page of the book and under classroom routines and procedures. Complete that. That's going to help you plan your first week. And that's it. That's all you have to do for homework. I'll put this in the book. I want you to celebrate your small wins. So if you already have a lot of small wins so far. So I want you all to put some of those in the comments as well. So I'm in the live Q&A. This is to the end of the session. If you want to, drop some questions in the comments, you can. I'm going to answer some of the questions in the comments as well and read some of the comments. But if you have some more questions of things that you want me to do, talk about, I'll put those, definitely work on that. Mary says we get a loss of prep pay. Wait a minute. When we sub during our prep, but we're also asked to sub during our teaching times. I have 2 recess duties, one before school and one lunch recess and bus duty after school. Mary, wait a minute. We to sub during our own teaching times. You have 2 recess duties? When do you have your planning? One before school and one lunch recess and one bus duty after school. Now I do admit I have morning duty and afternoon duty. I don't have recess duties though. Um, Mary, what is quite going on with that? I'm interested to know. Like, why is there two recess duties? Why are the teachers not other teachers not watching? I've never heard of recess duties. Anybody else heard of recess duty? Why are the teachers not watching their kids during recess? I just have just questions because I've never heard of that. So do you? What are other teachers doing? Mary, that's my big question. Is why are the other teachers not watching their kids during recess? And why do you have to watch them during two recess duties? And plus your own planning, and plus you having to teach. Yes, Sandra, I do. I was didn't. It's a little bit more intense, Sandra, than this. This is very like quite straightforward. But I can definitely, send you all a template on how I do it. So I'll put a note as well. Um, Send routines and procedures template um, to Sandra. I'll send that to you, or I'll make it like put it in the comments. So I'll send that to you, Sandra. Um, Kimberly says I had three. Oh my goodness, exit last year on their. Congratulations, Kimberly! I know you are so proud. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Oh my goodness, Kelly says that she gets to read a new book to my kids every day. Do you all, Kelly? Do you know the books that you're going to read for the first week? Kimberly, I would love to know. You said three students exited, which is great. What strategies you think worked for those three students? Just reflecting on that, what do you think worked? Like if you had to go back and think about it. Ooh, okay, I will make sure. And I'm actually when I log off, that's what I'm going to be using is that plan. So I will definitely send it over for you all as well. So send it over, Caroline, as well. Okay. I'll just post it. Yeah. Candace, we have after school duty every day plus 1 to 2 hours of force plus 1 to 2 and 3 lunch recess duties per week. I am, y'all. What is recess duty? What are you all? Where are the other teachers, y'all? Like where? Where are they? Why are you all? I now definitely you all. I told you all in the podcast. I struggled with morning duty. I had morning breakfast duty, and when I say I struggled a lot with morning breakfast duty. So I can only imagine, like, we just need to get paid a lot more than what we do. Yeah, I can only imagine you all are amazing doing 3 lunch or recess duties per week and then 1 to 2 before school. I'm imagining that you all are just watching the kids and monitoring the kids outside with recess duty. I've never heard of that. And I hope I hope I don't have to do anything like that or whatever. I think I'm going to ask, like, have you heard of recess duty? I've never heard of that. So I want to congratulate to everybody. Oh, oh, I don't know. Wow, have team planning during some of that time. Okay. Y'all do get your planning periods though, right? I hope you all are getting your planning periods. At least getting your planning periods. I hope that at least doing that. I'm sorry. I'm writing down some of these notes that you all are writing on, and just thinking about some ways that we can handle it and strategies that I can provide, and doing some research around that as well. So I want to thank you all for coming in and listening. So, and just sharing everything with me today. I will be here tomorrow. I'm going to brainstorm how to get this to work on Facebook. I just do not know how to get it to work on Facebook. But I will figure out and look into that. But for right now, I'll have it on YouTube, and then I'll see about just sharing the link in the Facebook group as well, and posting the video in the Facebook group. So Greg, that's great. You said you get most of your planning periods, which is great. Which that's so wonderful. Okay, at least you all are getting your planning periods. I know sometimes with like IEP meetings and I know here a lot of times that can be done during your planning period, and I'm grateful for the most part. I do get most of my planning. They do take that very seriously, or PLC times where you get the chance to plan with other teachers or whatever. Yeah, so we have a session every day at 11 a.m. So I will see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m. and I will email out the following. This is my to-do list, and I'll put this in the email. I am going to send the routines and procedures template on what I use out in the email today to everyone, if you all are interested in it. And I'm going to do some additional research on, moving rooms, research on, is there a general website about teacher union laws, and some strategies if you have a lot of duty posts. So that is my to-do list. So once again, I want to thank you all so much for being here with me, and all of your help. I will see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m. I am going to go back through the chat and reply, of course, to you all comments. Thank you all for being engaged. This is until Friday. You all, I promise I am going to be as quick as possible. I don't want to take up too much time. I just enjoy talking to you all so much. um, so I'll make sure to send those things out to you all, but it will be until Friday. So once again, thank you all so much. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.